The massive crystal dome stretched across the sky like a frozen ocean, its surface shimmering with lights from 300 different worlds. Inside the Galactic Council chambers, Ambassador Keth moved carefully on his 6 legs, his breathing mask hissing softly as he adjusted to the artificial atmosphere. The air here was a compromise between species, comfortable for none but tolerable for all. Around him, creatures of every imaginable shape whispered in languages that sounded like music, thunder, or wind through metal pipes. Some floated in gravity bubbles, others clung to the walls with sticky pads, and a few existed as pure energy contained in glowing spheres. This was the heart of galactic civilization, where peace had reigned for over 1,000 years. Keth settled into his designated area and activated his translation device. The day's agenda appeared in his mind, but one item made his 4 hearts skip a beat. A new world had been discovered, a Class X Psi world. The speaker rose in the center of the chamber, his ancient voice carrying easily through the vast space. Fellow representatives, we gather today to discuss a most unusual discovery. Our exploration vessels have located a planet that defies our understanding of evolution. Images appeared in the air above them all. A blue and green world, beautiful from space, spinning lazily in the light of a yellow star. It looked peaceful, almost inviting. This world registers as Class X Psi on our habitability scale. The speaker continued. The gravity is 3 times standard. The atmosphere contains corrosive oxygen. The weather includes frozen water falling from the sky and electrical storms that could power our cities. The native life forms eat each other for survival. Murmurs of shock rippled through the assembly. Class X Psi worlds were nightmare planets where nothing civilized could possibly evolve. The galactic community had grown from garden worlds, where the most dangerous creature might be something that ate fruit too loudly. Surely nothing intelligent could develop in such conditions, called out Representative Zara from the General Spiral Systems. Her people had evolved on a world where the temperature never changed and rain fell only at scheduled times. That is what we assumed, replied the speaker. However, long-range scans have detected something impossible. The dominant species on this world, who call themselves humans in their planet Earth, have developed advanced technology. They have split the atom, traveled to their moon, and built global communication networks. Keth felt his breathing quicken. This was unprecedented. Death worlds produce monsters, not civilizations. From across the chamber, General Thex rose to his full 3-meter height. His people, the Zephyrians, were among the galaxy's most military-minded species, though even they conducted war from the safety of orbital platforms. The idea of actually fighting on a planet's surface was considered barbarically primitive. Honored speaker, Thex said, his voice carrying the arrogance his species was known for, surely this is an error. Primitive Deathworlders cannot develop technology. If these humans possess advanced tools, they must have stolen them from a proper civilization, perhaps from crash survivors or abandoned research stations. Several other representatives nodded in agreement. It was the only logical explanation. I volunteer to lead a Zephyrian investigation fleet, Thex continued. We will determine the truth of this matter and deal with any complications that may arise. If these primitives have somehow acquired dangerous technology, it is our duty to remove it from their possession. The speaker's ancient eyes fixed on the general. And if they develop this technology themselves, what then? Thex laughed, a sound like grinding metal. Impossible. My people have studied warfare for 10,000 years. We know what it takes to build weapons and spacecraft. Deathworlders are animals, not engineers. They may be violent, but they lack the discipline for true military achievement. Keth watched the debate with growing unease. Something about this felt wrong. His species had evolved as prey animals, and his instincts were screaming danger. The galaxy's understanding of evolution was based on civilized worlds, where cooperation and peaceful development led to advancement. But what if a species evolved where cooperation meant survival against a hostile environment? What if they learned to build weapons not for conquest, but because their world demanded it? We should proceed with caution, Keth said, speaking for the first time. We know nothing about how intelligence develops under such extreme conditions. These humans may not think like us. Exactly my point, Thex replied dismissively. They are primitives with stolen toys. A show of strength will make them surrender whatever technology they possess. The vote was close, but military action was approved. Thex would take a standard occupation force to the human world and determine the truth. It was a decision based on 10,000 years of galactic experience, where warfare was conducted by technology and overwhelming force, where ground combat was unknown, and where no species had ever faced an enemy that evolved specifically to survive the impossible. As the session ended and representatives began to leave, Keth remained in his place, staring at the image of the blue world. Something deep in his prey animal instincts told him they had just made a terrible mistake. The morning sky over Seoul was clear and blue when the first alien ships appeared. Major Kim Juno stood on the observation deck of the Korean Defense Command, watching through binoculars as 40 massive vessels descended to the clouds like falling mountains. Each ship was the size of a city, their dark metal hulls blocking out the sun. "Sir," called Lieutenant Park Sora from her station, "we're getting similar reports from every continent. The ships are positioning themselves over major population centers worldwide." Juno lowered his binoculars and walked to the communication center. Around him, officers from 12 different nations worked at their stations. For the first time in human history, every military on Earth was working together, united by the simple fact that they were no longer alone in the universe. "Any attempt at communication?" he asked. "Yes, sir," replied Captain Lee Miho, adjusting his headset. "We've been sending greetings in every language and mathematical sequence we know." No response yet. The answer came 3 minutes later. The voice that filled the command center was translated by their computers, but the cold arrogance needed no translation. "Primitive humans of the world you call Earth, I am General Thex of the Zephyrian Empire. You will surrender your world immediately. Comply, and your deaths will be swift. Resist, and your suffering will be extended." Silence filled the room. Juno looked around at his fellow officers. Some were pale with fear, others red with anger. All of them were thinking the same thing. After thousands of years of wondering if humanity was alone, their first contact with alien life was a demand for surrender. "Sir," whispered Park Sora, "what do we tell them?" Juno picked up the microphone that would broadcast his words to every military command on Earth and threw them to the alien fleet above. His voice was calm and steady. "Tell them this is Earth. Tell them we said no." The first energy beam struck major cities 30 seconds later. Juno watched through the windows as pillars of green fire descended from the sky, striking buildings in downtown Seoul. The explosions lit up the morning like artificial suns, and the shock waves shattered windows across the city. Similar attacks were happening in Beijing, Tokyo, New York, London, and Moscow. "Damage reports," he ordered. "Military targets hit first," reported Lee Miho. "They're going after our command centers, airports, and naval bases. But, sir, the weapons are precise. They're not trying to destroy everything at once. They want us to surrender." Juno realized. This is a demonstration of power. The alien fleet had made a critical error. They had assumed that humans, like every other species in the galaxy, would see overwhelming force and immediately give up. They had studied human radio and television broadcasts, but they had missed something important. They had never seen humanity at war. "Open channels to all Special Forces units," Juno ordered. "Authorization code, Deathworld Protocol." The Deathworld Protocol had been theoretical until this moment, a contingency plan developed by military strategists who had wondered what would happen if Earth ever faced invasion by superior technology. The answer was simple: fight anyway. Captain Choi Daeho received the signal while conducting underwater training with his Navy SEAL unit. He and his 12-man team had been practicing deep water insertion techniques when the alien ships appeared. Now, floating 30 meters below the surface of the East Sea, he listened to the impossible order coming through his waterproof communicator. "All teams, this is command. We are under attack by alien forces. Repeat, we are under attack by alien forces. Initiate close assault protocols. You are authorized to board enemy vessels by any means necessary." Choi looked at his team members floating around him in the dark water. They had trained for every possible scenario: hostage rescue, deep reconnaissance, sabotage behind enemy lines. But boarding alien spaceships had never been in the manual. Well, said Sergeant Yun Taemin through his breathing apparatus. This will be interesting. 2 hours later, modified military shuttles launched from hidden bases around the world. The aliens had destroyed obvious military targets, but they had no idea how many hidden facilities humans had built during decades of Cold Wars and regional conflicts. Every nation on Earth had secret weapons, secret bases, and secret soldiers. Choi's team approached the nearest alien vessel in a stealth craft designed to avoid radar. As they got closer, their sensors revealed something the aliens had not expected humans to know. The enemy ships were not sealed environments like human spacecraft. The aliens breathed a different atmosphere and maintained near-vacuum conditions inside their vessels. Suits sealed, Choi ordered. Remember, we don't know what we'll find in there, but we know one thing. They think we're primitives who will surrender. Let's show them what Earth primitives can do. The human boarding craft attached to the alien hull with magnetic clamps. Plasma cutters, originally designed for underwater salvage operations, sliced through the enemy's armor like butter. Within minutes, Choi's team was inside the alien vessel, moving through corridors filled with atmospheric conditions that would kill most galactic species in seconds. The first alien soldier they encountered wore powered armor and carried energy weapons that could level buildings. He was 3 meters tall and had been trained by the galaxy's most advanced military academies. He lasted 4 seconds against humans who had learned to fight in Earth's oceans, deserts, and mountains. The Zephyrian landing craft descended through Earth's atmosphere like burning stars, each one carrying 1,000 soldiers in powered armor. General Thex watched from his command ship as his forces deployed across every continent. 1 million of the galaxy's finest warriors, equipped with energy weapons that could melt steel and armor that could stop missiles. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, "all landing zones secured. The primitives appear to have retreated from major population centers." Thex nodded with satisfaction. "Of course they have. A show of proper military force. And even Deathworlders know when they are beaten. Begin Phase 2. Start rounding up the survivors for questioning." On the ground, Colonel Bay Juno crouched in the rubble that had once been a shopping district in Seoul. Around him, his Special Forces team waited in absolute silence. They had been hiding for 6 hours, watching the alien patrols establish their positions. The enemy moved in perfect formation, their sensors sweeping methodically for signs of human resistance. What the aliens didn't understand was that humans had been fighting each other for thousands of years. They knew how to hide, how to wait, and how to kill. "Target the leader." Juno whispered into his throat microphone. His voice was so quiet it was barely a breath, but it reached every member of his 12-man team positioned throughout the ruins. "On my mark." Sergeant Lee Sohyun lay prone on a rooftop 4 blocks away, her sniper rifle trained on the alien patrol leader. The creature was massive, nearly 3 meters tall in its powered armor, but through her scope she could see the weak points her intelligence briefing had identified. The neck joint, where the armor connected to the helmet. "Mark!" came Juno's voice. The alien commander's head exploded in a spray of blue liquid. Before his soldiers could react, smoke grenades filled the street. When the smoke cleared 30 seconds later, the humans were gone, leaving only alien bodies. This scene repeated in every major city on Earth. Human Special Forces teams appeared from nowhere, struck with surgical precision, and vanished like ghosts. They fought in conditions that made the aliens' environmental suits fail, in temperatures that froze their equipment, in terrain that their sensors couldn't penetrate. Captain Yu Jaiwan led her team to the subway tunnels beneath London, moving through flooded passages that reached up to their necks. The aliens couldn't follow them here. Their heavy armor would drag them under, and their breathing systems couldn't handle the contaminated water. But humans had learned to fight in every environment their deadly planet could produce. "Contact ahead," whispered Corporal Kim Young-ho. 6 aliens, standard patrol pattern. The aliens were using their energy weapons to cut through the tunnel walls, searching for human resistance fighters. They moved slowly and carefully, their suit lights illuminating the dark water around them. They never saw the humans approaching from underwater. Jaiwan and her team struck from below, pulling the aliens under the surface before they could activate their emergency signals. The enemy's powered armor made them strong, but also made them heavy. In the flooded tunnels, strength meant nothing if you couldn't breathe. In the frozen wastes of Siberia, Major Park Summon's team moved across the ice like wolves. The temperature was 50 degrees below zero, cold enough to shut down alien equipment and freeze their hydraulics. But humans had lived in these conditions for generations. Their patrols are getting smaller, observed Staff Sergeant Lim Hyok as they watched an alien squad struggle through the snow. 6 soldiers instead of 12. They're running out of troops, Sungman replied. Command estimates we've eliminated 30% of their ground forces in the first week. The aliens have made a fatal error in their understanding of human warfare. They expected large battles with clear front lines, the kind of civilized combat practiced throughout the galaxy. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy that appeared from shadows, struck without warning, and disappeared before reinforcements could arrive. Sergeant Nam Minsu's urban warfare team had turned downtown Tokyo into a maze of death traps. They used the city's own infrastructure against the invaders, collapsing buildings to block alien movements, flooding subway stations to force them into kill zones, and using the dense urban environment to make the alien superior weapons useless in close quarters. They keep trying to establish secure perimeters, Nam reported his team as they prepared for another night assault. But they don't understand that there is no secure ground on a death world. Every shadow could hide an enemy. Every building could be a trap. The aliens' casualty reports made no sense to their commanders. How could primitive humans armed with simple projectile weapons be defeating soldiers equipped with energy shields and powered armor? The answer was simple. Humans had evolved to be the ultimate survivors. They could function without sleep for days, operate in total darkness, move silently through any terrain, and most importantly, they never gave up. By the end of the second week, General Thex's million-soldier invasion force had been reduced to less than 300,000 effective troops. His remaining units were trapped in fortified positions, afraid to patrol, unable to complete their mission. "Sir," his communications officer reported with barely controlled panic, "we're receiving surrender requests from 12 different battalion commanders. They're requesting immediate evacuation." Thex stared at the tactical display, showing his forces surrounded on every continent. For the first time in galactic military history, an invasion fleet was being defeated not by superior technology or overwhelming numbers, but by an enemy that simply refused to be conquered. "No one survives facing them," he whispered, finally understanding why the phrase had begun appearing in his soldiers' final transmissions. Ambassador Keth sat in emergency session of the Galactic Council, his 4 hearts beating irregularly as he read the battle reports from Earth. Around him, representatives from 300 civilized worlds whispered in shock and disbelief. The impossible was happening. The primitive Deathworlders were winning. "The casualties are unprecedented," announced military analyst Vextar, his voice shaking as he projected the numbers into the air above them all. In 3 weeks of combat, the Zephyrian Empire has lost over 700,000 soldiers, not orbital weapons or advanced technology, but as small groups of humans fighting with basic projectile weapons. Council Speaker Mordun leaned forward on his ancient throne. "Explain to us how this is possible. The Zephyrians are among our most capable military forces." Vextar's image display showed footage captured from dying Zephyrian soldiers' helmet cameras. The council members watched in horrified fascination as human teams moved through environments that would kill most galactic species within minutes. "The humans appear to operate in squads of 4 to 12 individuals," Vextar explained. "Each squad has eliminated hundreds of our soldiers. They require no supply lines, no orbital support, no reinforcement from major bases. They simply hunt." On the display, a human soldier ran across a rooftop in temperatures that would freeze Zephyrian blood, leaped a gap that would require anti-gravity assistance for most species, and killed 3 armored enemies with a weapon that fired small metal projectiles. The human then disappeared into the ruins as if he had never existed. "How long can they sustain this?" asked Representative Quinn of the Peaceful Systems Alliance. "Surely they must rest, resupply, receive medical attention?" "That is what we do not understand," Vextar replied, switching to thermal imaging from orbit. "Human soldiers have been operating continuously for 23 days. No sleep cycles detected. No supply drops recorded. No medical evacuations observed. They appear to be healing from wounds that would be fatal to our species. Captain on CO June crouched in the ruins of what had once been a factory outside Berlin. His team had been operating behind enemy lines for 4 weeks, living on emergency rations and rainwater, moving only at night through terrain that would kill most alien species. His left arm was in a makeshift sling from where alien plasma had grazed him 2 weeks ago, but the wound was healing with a stubborn efficiency that human biology demanded. "Movement 2 clicks north," whispered Corporal Park Jun through her binoculars. "Alien patrol, standard formation." CO Jun looked through his own scope. 12 Zephyrians in powered armor, moving carefully through the industrial wasteland. They were scared, he realized. These supposedly superior soldiers were afraid of humans who fought with weapons their ancestors had designed centuries ago. "They're heading for the refugee shelter. Observe Private Ojinwu. We can't let them reach the civilians." CO Jun nodded. His team was exhausted, outnumbered 3-1, and armed with weapons that were primitive by galactic standards. By every military doctrine known to civilized species, they should retreat and call for backup that would never come. Instead, they attacked. The engagement lasted 4 minutes. When it was over, 12 alien soldiers lay dead in the mud, and Seojin's team melted back into the ruins like ghosts. No alien reinforcements would find any trace of the humans who had been there. Back in the council chambers, Ambassador Keth studied the tactical analysis with growing dread. His species had evolved as prey animals, and every instinct he possessed was screaming danger. "We have fundamentally misunderstood what these humans are," he announced to the assembly. "We assumed they were primitives who had somehow acquired technology, but the evidence suggests something far more terrifying." He activated his own display, showing evolutionary models that his science teams had developed. "Most of our species evolved on worlds where cooperation meant building cities, sharing resources, and developing art and culture. Humans evolved on a world where cooperation meant surviving against a planet that was actively trying to kill them." The display showed Earth's climate patterns, weather systems, and native life forms. Even the plants were hostile, producing toxins that would kill most galactic species. The animals were nightmares of teeth, claws, and venom. The weather included frozen precipitation, electrical storms, and temperature variations that could span 100 degrees in a single day. "Every human is essentially what we would classify as elite special forces," Keth continued. "They evolved as persistence predators, capable of tracking prey across vast distances over multiple days without rest. Their healing factor allows them to survive injuries that would kill us. Their pack-hunting instincts make them devastatingly effective in small groups. Sergeant Kim Jun-'s sniper team had been tracking a high-value alien target for 6 days, moving through the Australian desert in conditions that reached 60 degrees during the day and dropped below freezing at night. The temperature variations would shut down most galactic equipment and kill any unprotected alien within hours. To the humans, it was just another day of work. Target acquired. Kim whispered into his radio as he watched the alien commander through a scope. Range 1,000 meters. The shot took the alien's head clean off, before the enemy could even begin searching for the sniper. Kim's team was already moving to their next position 3 kilometers away. "Confirmed kill," came the report to Human Command. No survivors, no witnesses. That phrase had become doctrine for human special forces. Leave no enemy alive to report human capabilities. Let the aliens think their soldiers were simply disappearing into the death world that Earth had always been. The surrender came on a Tuesday morning, exactly 6 weeks after the Zephyrian Empire had landed on Earth with dreams of easy conquest. General Thex stood in the ruins of his command center, staring at casualty reports that made no mathematical sense. Of his original million-soldier invasion force, fewer than 50,000 remained combat effective. The rest were dead, missing, or too traumatized to fight. "Sir," his communications officer reported with a voice that shook like autumn leaves, "we're receiving withdrawal orders from High Command. The Empire is negotiating terms with the humans." Thex closed his eyes and tried to understand how the galaxy's most advanced military force had been defeated by primitives armed with simple projectile weapons. The answer came to him in the screams of his dying soldiers. transmitted through their helmet cameras during those final moments when human hunters emerged from shadows like death itself. The humans hadn't just won. They had redefined what victory meant. 3 days later, Fleet Admiral Bay Minji stood on the bridge of humanity's first interstellar vessel, watching through the view screen as alien delegates arrived for the peace negotiations. The ship had been built in record time using technology reverse-engineered from captured Zephyrin equipment, but its crew was purely human. Every officer, every soldier, every engineer had been chosen from Earth's Special Forces community. Admiral, reported Captain Won Haisung from the tactical station, 12 diplomatic vessels requesting permission to approach. They're broadcasting peace signals on all frequencies. Minji nodded slowly. Through the vast windows of space, she could see the alien fleet maintaining a respectful distance from Earth. 300 ships from dozens of different worlds, all keeping their weapons powered down and their shields lowered. For the first time in galactic history, an entire civilization was approaching humanity with genuine fear. "Grant them permission to dock," she ordered, "and remind all crew members that we're no longer fighting for survival. We're negotiating for the future." Ambassador Keth was the first alien to step aboard a human vessel. His 6 legs trembled as he walked through corridors designed for bipedal creatures who lived in crushing gravity and breathed corrosive oxygen. The very air inside the ship would kill him within minutes without his environmental suit, yet the humans moved through it as easily as swimming through water. General Song Miho met the alien delegation in the ship's conference room. He was a compact man with scars on his hands and the calm eyes of someone who had seen combat on 6 continents. Behind him stood representatives from every nation on Earth, unified for the first time in human history by the simple fact that they had survived first contact with an alien civilization. Ambassador Keth, Song said in perfect galactic standard, learned from captured alien databases, "Welcome aboard. We understand you wish to discuss terms for peace." Keth activated his translation device and tried to keep his voice steady. "General Song, the Galactic Council extends its apology for the recent misunderstanding. We wish to establish formal relations with humanity and recognize Earth's sovereignty over your star system." "Misunderstanding," Song repeated, his tone remaining politely neutral. "Is that what we're calling unprovoked invasion and the attempted genocide of our species?" The alien delegation shifted uncomfortably. Behind them, through the conference room's windows, Earth hung in space like a blue jewel. From orbit, it looked peaceful and beautiful. None of them could see the scars left by orbital bombardment or the graveyards where human civilians had been buried after the first alien attacks. We did not understand what your species was capable of," Keth admitted. "Our military advisors believed that Deathworlders would be primitive and easily defeated. We were wrong." Song leaned back in his chair and studied the aliens with the patience of a predator. "You were wrong about many things. You thought we would surrender when faced with superior technology. You thought we would break when our cities were bombed. You thought we would run when your soldiers landed." He paused, letting silence fill the room. When he spoke again, his voice carried the weight of 6 billion humans who refused to give up. "Instead, we hunted your soldiers through our cities like animals. We turned our entire planet into a trap. We showed you what it means to fight a species that evolved where everything tries to kill you every single day." Captain Park Ju-hyun entered the conference room, carrying a data pad with the terms humanity would accept. The document had been prepared by every government on Earth working together, and its demands were simple but absolute. Full recognition of human territorial sovereignty. Song read aloud. Non-aggression pacts with all council species. Immediate withdrawal of all alien military forces from human space. And formal acknowledgement of Earth as a protected death world. Off limits to all non-human military forces without explicit human permission. Keth signed the documents without reading the fine print. His species had evolved as prey animals, and every instinct he possessed told him to agree to whatever terms would make the humans stop hunting them. "The Council also wishes to establish cultural exchange programs," Keth said hopefully. "Perhaps your people would be interested in visiting other worlds?" Admiral Bay smiled, an expression that made the alien delegate step backward despite himself. We'd be happy to arrange visits. Our special forces would love to show your people our training facilities." As the alien delegates hurried back to their ships, Song stood at the window, watching Earth turn slowly in space. Somewhere down there, human special forces teams were still conducting exercises, still training for wars that might never come, still preparing to defend their world against any threat the galaxy might produce. The universe has spent billions of years creating garden worlds where life was gentle and civilization was possible. But it had also created one world where life was a constant battle for survival. Now the galaxy knew the difference. The end.